We got all our Milwaukee tools up here, and then down here we got our Tecton screwdrivers that kind of crinkled. You can see the little buckle right here, So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be back to work on my 1965 Ford Mustang. As you guys see in the previous episode, we got a lot of the front end taken apart. We got the whole radiator system off, the condenser off, this entire front fascia, and we did notice that this car is in perfect condition up here aside from the little rust from the burn, but there's no rust in the frame rails, which means it's a nice solid car up front. So it's the perfect candidate for a 5.0 swap. Most of these cars, you know, they're rusted out and you have to do extensive replacing work, and it's just not really worth it. But this one is a perfect candidate. And in today's video, I really want to focus on getting these fenders off, get everything off this engine right here, like get the alternator off, get the condenser out, and probably go ahead and start removing this engine out of here and start doing some prep work. And then we'll also take a deeper look at what's going on with this firewall, see if it's salvageable or if we have to go ahead and order a new one to replace it. And here's all the parts that we took off in the last episode, and pretty much everything is good. This piece right here, this is like the part of the bumper. It's a little bit damaged right there, but I think we can easily straighten it out. And look, that's a factory part. And as you can see, it's not really rusted. There's literally only surface rust on it. And especially when I was taking off all these parts, it was just super easy. Every bolt was just coming off with ease. We didn't even have to break out our WD-40. And so that's good. This lower section is also in perfect condition. Yeah, I think this might actually be a reproduction model. As you can see, it's just white back here. So this is probably a reproduction one. Maybe. It does have a little bit of rust down here, but it's in very good condition at night. It just needs like a nice light sand and it's good to go. The grill area is kind of screwed up, so we'll probably have to get a whole new one because it's busted up in the center. And then on the passenger side right there, it took a little damage. And that's pretty much all the front end parts. Oh, and we have the bumper, which is in beautiful condition. But I'm thinking we might actually sand all that down and get it powder coated white instead of having chrome, because I kind of don't really like the chrome on these cars. I'm not a big fan of chrome, and I just don't really like it. Oh, and then I wanted to show you guys the damage I forgot to mention. So here's pretty much all the frame damage on the car. Right here we have the radiator support. It's a little bit pushed over, and I'm not sure, maybe it did move the rails just a little bit, because I did notice after we took off all these parts over here, you can see this door right here is starting to catch on the fender. Like you can see it's fresh chipped, and then whenever you open it, it kind of catches a little bit right there. So I'm not sure if the front end shifted over just a little bit. Maybe, because once we took everything off, it relieved all the tension and it might have moved everything over, or we just need to do some adjusting on this fender. But we'll figure all that out later. Once we get the engine out, we get everything out. Maybe we even have to take it to and do a little bit of framework on this car. And I did mention in the previous video, Tecton did send us a nice toolbox out, and finally we have our last box in stock. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble that toolbox and put all our tools in there. So here's everything Tecton sent us. They sent us a rolling cart. We did take everything apart. We were gonna assemble it last episode, but this big box right here didn't come in yet. FedEx was a little slacking. And they also sent us a nice impact socket set, which is always good to have. A lot of sockets. Check that out. Has pretty much every socket we could possibly need, and it's super high quality, and I love them. So let's go ahead and assemble everything, and I'll show you exactly what we have. So we got the entire Tecton toolbox assembled and we went ahead and decked it out. We got all our Milwaukee tools up here, and then down here we got our Tecton screwdrivers that they sent out. These things are nice. I can't wait to start using them on our car. And we got our wrenches in here. We also got our extensions chilling right there. Some sockets, some extensions, or these are like, I guess they're converters or sockets. And then down here we have another big old set of Milwaukee vice clamps. These things are nice. They're gonna come in handy a lot. And then we have our Milwaukee power tools. I absolutely love this Tecton toolbox. It was pretty easy to assemble. Everything goes together smoothly, and it's sturdy. It's a lot better than all the other toolboxes I've ever dealt with. And the reason why I like this is we are gonna get some bigger toolboxes for the back, but I like to have a rolling cart for like when we're working on the front of this car and we don't really want to move the entire car like over there. And we're not really a mechanic shop, so we're not gonna be constantly working on all kinds of crazy stuff that we need a bunch of toolboxes. But if you're interested in getting you one of these toolboxes, head over to tecton.com. They have a lot of cool stuff on their website. They pretty much have tools, they have toolboxes, and everything you can possibly need. Now that we have the Tecton toolbox set up, it's time to go ahead and start working on the Mustang. We're gonna go ahead and dive into this Mustang. I wanna get this engine out, so that means we're gonna have to go ahead and start taking off. We're gonna take off this condenser right here. Look how huge that thing is compared to like a newer car. That thing is ginormous. We'll probably go ahead and take off this alternator just so we can get it out of here easier without damaging this stuff anymore. So let's get to taking stuff off. Dang, that thing is massive and it's heavy as All right, guys, we're gonna do a little bit of investigation here and see if this is what caused our fire. And you can see right here, this is a Holley double pumper, I think. No, it's a Holley Power or Holley Performance. Pretty sure this is a double pumper. Let's take this off and see what's going on here. But I don't know, it seems like this might have been a nice air filter. A lot of people are saying that cheap air filters catch on fire, but it is an Elderbrock, so I'm pretty sure they're a pretty good company, I think. Let's take this off. I wonder what's going on inside the engine. It does look pretty crusty in there. Yeah, it is. It's a 2-barrel. It's pretty nice. Too bad it melted. All right, now we need to just disconnect. This is the throttle cable. That was the last famous words of this engine. Boom. All right, that's disconnected. What else do we have to get off here? Well, guys, I was trying to get this hood hinge off, but it turns out this bolt is spinning right here. And what I kind of want to do right now is go ahead and get these fenders off, just so like that side is a perfectly good fender, and I don't want to damage anything when we're taking the engine out. So let's go ahead and get both fenders off, and then we'll get the hood hinges off, and then we can go ahead and start getting the engine out. That's just where all the paint came off because of the heat.
Don't look like to me.
Yeah, there's a little bit of body paint right there. So we get the first fender off, and honestly, it looks pretty good under here. It kind of looks like somebody just took a plasma cutter or a grinder and just went just cut it right there, but everything is solid under here. As you can see, everything was painted out too. Everything looks good. There's no rust anywhere down here. Even this piece right here is 100% solid. There's no rust right there. And also back here, I did notice there's a little bit of spot down there. It's like probably this much rust. It kind of rusted through. So we'll have to address that a bit later. But look at this apron, man. It is kind of crinkled. You can see the little buckle right here. little buckle right here. So I'm not sure if that's from the damage or if that's from the heat just kind of heating everything up and just warping everything. So let's go ahead and take the driver's side fender off and see how it looks over there too. All right, boys. So this fender looks in really good condition. No rust or anything on side. It is a used one, so it's not a reproduction fender. It does look like it has a little bit of warpage right here, but I think it'll be easy to fix. So we got the driver's side fender off, and it looks a lot better over here. There's no cut like that side. Everything looks really solid, because I know this area right here loves to rust out on these cars, because this cowl like this right here will get clogged up, and there will be nowhere for the water to drain, and it'll just sit there and it'll just eat through that metal. And you know this rain it's acid rain. And then down here, hey, it looks pretty good. No rust anywhere. Really nice and solid everywhere. Even like all these areas right here, there's a little bit of the surface rust that comes through after just sitting, but it looks really good so far. And we have the same issue over here. As you can see, this apron is a little bit bowed right here. I'm guessing it's from the heat, because both sides are exactly the same and this side had no damage on it. I'm guessing when the heat just heated everything up, it kind of just like, I think whenever something heats, does it expand or doesn't it contract?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it expands, and when it cooled down, it just contracted and it kind of buckled everything. So who knows, maybe we'll have to replace these aprons, but maybe we can just straighten them out and they'll be good to go. So we got the fender off. Now we get a better look at this suspension. And what I don't think this shock or this spring compressed or anything. I think these might be the inline 6 springs instead of the springs for the V8. That's why the front is sitting so low. But as you can tell, guys, this suspension will not work for when we put our Coyote engine. A lot of people are saying don't delete the shock towers, and we are going to have to delete the shock towers and go with a better coil-over suspension, and it will get rid of all this, plus it will beef up the front suspension. And we also already need new suspension because this is a 4-lug, and I'm pretty sure it has drums in the front, so we're definitely going to want to upgrade that. We don't want to have drums on a Mustang with the 5.0 Coyote engine in it. But man, dude, once we get all this, we can probably just pressure wash all this, and most of this crud will just come off and everything will look pretty good. And I'm thinking about maybe grabbing a sandblaster from the boys over at 2030 Garage. They have one, and we can maybe sandblast everything once we get the whole engine out. And that's pretty much our next task right now, is to get this engine out. This thing is ready to come out. The only thing we do not have though is an engine hoist, so we're probably gonna have to go pick one up. So we're gonna go do that, and then we'll be right back. So I just got back from the other shop. We actually borrowed their engine hoist, and now what we need to do is go ahead and I want to lift this car up, so we're going to go ahead and lift it up because we need to go buy a jack. We still haven't bought one, I don't know why, but we don't have enough time right now to go get a jack. So I'm basically going to hook it up to the engine, lift the whole car up, put the car on jack stands, unhook the transmission from the back, and then we'll just unscrew the engine mounts and pull this thing out. And I do use seat belts. Seat belts actually work the best for pulling out engines. Now all you want to do is just basically tie this up. Now let me tell you, when I say seat belts work the best, I'm not lying. You gotta know how to tie them properly. So we got this bad boy lifted up in the air. I don't know if people lift cars like this, but it works. So I'm gonna go underneath now, and we need to disconnect the transmission. I think just the linkage and probably the little brace in the center. And we also need to remove the headers too. I think we'll probably just unbolt them right here because I do see there's a connection under there. So let's go ahead and take care of that, and then we can yank this engine out of here. Oh boys, dude, they got some big old exhaust pipes under here. You got some Borlas. Oh no, those are Flowmasters. All right, here, can you give me my shop light? You find it? Yeah, Milwaukee hooked it up. I've never used one of these. Holy cow, now that.
You look like a real mechanic now, boss.
I look like a coal miner. I got the shifter link off. Now we need to get the speedometer cable off. Ratchet wrench, please. Wrench. Can you give me an espresso?
You get espresso on aisle 6.
Dude, let me tell you, Milwaukee, they have the best tools in the world. I'll stand by that. And this gear is grinding. He must have been zooming the little gear for the speedometer. That's crazy. Look, to know how fast this car was going, they have a speedometer gear. You don't see that anymore. Alrighty guys, so we got the last piece of the puzzle unscrewed. Alright, we got the transmission linkage off. Everything is off, it is ready to go. I'm not sure if I can remove it with the headers on, so I'm gonna do a little more investigating, dive deeper into it. We might have to actually remove that. The reason why I like Mustangs so much is when I was like, I'd say like...
First off, turn off your high beams.
Oh.
Like,
all right, y'all want to hear why I fell in love with Mustangs? So when I was about 12 years old, a guy by my house had a junkyard, and there was 2 Mustangs sitting over there. And every day I drove past it on a school bus, I'd check the Mustangs out. I asked my dad like 20 times, let's go pick them up. But the guy who owned them, he never wanted to sell them. So they just ended up rotting. And that's pretty much why I love Mustangs. Like, I've always loved them since I was a child.
alright, okay,
So that is why, that's why I like Mustangs. A lot of people wondering why I even mess with these cars. Just a childhood dream. All right, so we got all that off underneath, and I'm not sure if we need to, I think we can just go ahead and unscrew these headers just to make the whole process a lot easier, just so it won't give us problems. And I think it's pretty easy. There's just 10mm bolts, so let's take off these headers too. So we got both headers removed. That side actually slipped out, but this side, there's literally no room at all to move it. So we'll have to remove that once we unbolt the engine mount and start lifting the motor out of here. So let's go ahead and put the seatbelt. The seatbelt was against the motor. I mean, it was against the headers. Now we need to tie it against the engine mounts. Then we can go ahead and hook that up, start lifting it out. We finally got the entire engine out of the car. It was a little bit harder to do since we kind of are using just a strap. But man, I think this engine was rebuilt not too long ago. As you can see, it still has all the nice blue paint and the gaskets look really good on it. Check that out. Doesn't even look like it was used that much since it was rebuilt. But the engine probably is good. I'm still not sure what kind of engine this is. I'm gonna try to see if I can find any numbers on it and see exactly what kind of engine this is, because it was really snug in there. It might be a 289. I think that's what most people put in here, but I can't really find any numbers on it. A lot of people were saying that there's somewhere over here, but I don't know. I guess we'll just have to do a little bit more research on it, but I think this engine is still good. We might take off the spark plugs in the next video, take off the spark plugs and see if there's any water in there, because when the firefighters did get the hood open, they probably just sprayed a ton of water straight into the carburetor and it probably made its way in there. But I mean, you can probably just save it if we just take the spark plugs out, run it through a little bit, maybe put some diesel or something in there, some kind of lubricant, and it'll probably be a good engine still. So there it is, guys. The engine is finally out of the car. We're not gonna get too much into the engine bay, but all I can say is it's looking pretty good in there. I'm kind of tired. I want to go home, so we're gonna wrap up the episode right here. But we did a lot of work on this car. We got the engine out. We disconnected everything, took all the headers off, took all the main components off this engine, and I think this thing is probably still good. Who knows? We'll already just try to sell it to somebody or something like that. Put some more money towards this build. But if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and also follow us on Instagram at vTuned. We post a lot of sneak peeks over there. Thanks for watching.